Hello everyone, this is the second chapter of the Excel tutorials, section 3. In this section, I will show you how to convert contents from a CSV file into Excel, and how to set the row height, column width, and list text cell. I will show you how to generate a historical stock price spreadsheet by this example. We will use some new Excel functions in this section. Let's take a look at the historical stock price Excel document. The stock price source data in the sheet 1 was converted from a CSV file. The chart in the sheet 2 was based on this source data. Sometimes we need to convert the cell's coordinates in number data type to alphanumeric cell name. The coordinates to cell name function provided by Excel can be easily to do this. If we need to set the cell's value with multiple data types, we can use the setCellValue function. If all the cell's data type was the same as the string, we can use the setCellString to set the string type value of the cell. Create a directory named 2.3 in the tutorial directory and put the prepared CSV stock price data in the directory. Then open the project in Visual Studio Code Editor. Create a source code with Go extension named main.go. Import the format library and the Excel library. Create the main function and create a new workbook by the new file function provided by Excel. Save the workbook named book1.xlsx by the save as function. Open the terminal, run go mode init command, create a new module rooted in the current directory, and run go mode tidy to add any missing module requirements necessary to build the current module's packages and dependencies. Open the CSV file by OS standard library, receiving and checking the error returned. The CSV file is made pre-downloaded, which recorded Microsoft stock price data in days between 2016 and 2021. Open it and you can see there are 1260 rows here. Using defer function to close the file when the function returns, and use the CSV standard library to read the file. Read the CSV file row by row, receive and checking the error returned. Declare a variable named row to mark the row number, and declare worksheet name. We need to prepare the start cell's name of the row before setting the worksheet row. We can use the coordinates to cell name function to convert the cell's coordinates to alphanumeric cell name. We set the header row at first. All the cells were string data type in this row. Using the setSheetRow function to set the header row, the variable record holds each row's value in the CSV file. Each cell was in the string data type. The stock price data was started at the second row. Create a new function named convertSlice, which can convert the stock price data from string data type to float data type and return the converted row or error. Iterate each row and try to convert each cell value to float data type in each row. If you convert failed, fall back to the raw value. Call the convertSlice function from the second row to prepare worksheet data, receiving and checking the error returned, and using the setSheetRow to set the cell's value of each row. Increase row number after each row written. Save the code and run the program. Open the generated workbook in Excel. The CSV content has been written into an Excel worksheet. There are 1260 rows here, which is consistent with the CSV file. Next, we change the cell value in the header row. Set the cell's value by setCellValue function with the worksheet name and the cell coordinates. Change the cell value in A1 to trading date. Set the string data type cell value with the setCellString function to change the cell value in B1 to opening price. And change the cell's value in C1 to G1 range by setSheetRow function. The start cell coordinates is C1. Set the values of the cell C1 to G1 to highest price, lowest price, close price, adjustment close price, and trading volume. Save the code and run the program. Reopen the workbook in Excel. The header row has been changed. Next, we set the style and visibility for worksheet columns. Set the cells in the columns B to F. with 2 decimal places number format style. Create a new style with new style function and get the style ID named style1. Specify the number format field value as 2, which represents 2 decimal places, and set the column style on B to F with setColumnStyle function, receiving and checking the returned error. Saving the code and run the program. Open the workbook in Excel. The style with number format in B to F columns has been set. Then set the thousands of comma-separate number format style for the cells in the column trading volume, using the new style function again to create a new style named style2. Set the number format field value to 3, receiving and checking the returned error, and set the G column style with setColumnStyle function, receiving and checking the returned error, saving the code and running the program. Reopen the workbook by Excel. The number format of the G column has been set, but because the column width is a little bit narrow, we need to change the width to check the effect. Next, we change the column width on A to G to 11 by setColumnWidth function. Save the code and running the program. Reopen the workbook. The width of the columns A to G has been changed. If we want to add the adjustment close price column F, we can set the column visible to false by setColumnVisible function, saving the code and running the program. And reopen the workbook. The column F was hidden. Next, I will show you how to insert a row in the worksheet. Set the rich text cell and set the row's height, using the insert row function to insert a title row on the top, receiving and checking the returned error, saving the code and running the program. Open the generated workbook. There is a blank row that has been added to the top. Then merge the cells on the range A1 to G1 by merge cell function, saving the code and running the program. Reopen the workbook. The cells on the range A1 to G1 has been merged. Next, set the rich text cell with color and wrap style for the merged cell value. Set the cell rich text by setCellRichText function. The first parameter is the worksheet name. The second parameter is the cell name, and the third parameter is the rich text format properties. Create a rich text in rich text run datatype variable. Text file used to specify the literal content using the symbol \r\n represents verb in the cell. The font file is used for specifying the style of the font, adding blue color and bold style for the font, setting the font size at 28, and using the Times New Roman font style. Create a new rich text run. Set the literal content to historical close price chart and using the Arial font style. Saving the code and running the program. Open the generated workbook. The rich text style didn't wrap. We need to set a wrap style for it. Create a wrap style by new style function. Get style ID named style3. Specify the wrap property as true in the alignment field. Center align in the horizontal and vertical directions. And then set the style for the cell A1 by setCellStyle function with style3. Save the code and run the program. Open the workbook in Excel. The cell with the rich text has been created, but since the row height was a little bit low, we need to change the height to make the cell value visible. Change the row's height with the setRowHeight function. Set the first row's height to 60. Save the code and run the program. Open the workbook, and you can see the row's height has been changed. Next, I will show you how to set the hyperlink for the cell, create a new worksheet, and set the active sheet. At first, using the setCellValue function, set the cell value data source for cell H1. Then set the hyperlink for the cell with setCellHyperlink function. The first parameter is the worksheet name. The second parameter is the cell coordinates. The third parameter is the hyperlink address. The fourth parameter is the type of the hyperlink. External represents the external hyperlink. Save the code and run the program. Open the generated workbook. The hyperlink has been added. Next, set the blue color and underline style for the text of the hyperlink. Create a new style named style4 by new style function. Specify the font color in the font field, and specify the value of the underline as single. And then set the style for the cell H1 by setCellStyle function with style4. Save the code and run the program. Reopen the workbook by Excel. The style of the hyperlink text has been added. Next, creating a new worksheet named Stock Charts by the NewSheet function. Get the index of the new worksheet named SheetIndex. Set the default worksheet by setActiveSheet function with SheetIndex. Save the code and run the program. Reopen the workbook. There a new stock charts sheet has been created in the workbook. Currently, I have imported the data from a CSV file into a worksheet and created a custom style for the worksheet. Next, I will show you how to create a native chart based on the data. Create a historical close price chart in the stock charts sheet. Make the chart type as a line chart by addChart function. The name of the chart references the value of the cell E2 on the sheet 1. The horizontal categories of the chart reference the value of the cell range A3 to A1261 on the sheet 1. The stock close price values of the chart reference the value of the cell range E3 to E1261 on the sheet 1. Scaling the width of the chart to 1.6 times in the horizontal direction and scaling the height of the chart to 1.5 times in the vertical direction. Specify the chart title by title field, and change the value of known property is true in the legend file to close the chart legend. Save the code and run the program, and reopen the workbook by Excel. The chart has been created. The marker on the line has been added by default. If you want to remove it, just change the field of the symbol property as known in the marker field. Save the code and run the program again. Reopen the workbook. The markers on the line has been removed, and the distance of the horizontal axis label was too close. Let's adjust it. Add the x-axis file in the chart format parameter. Specify the value of the stick label skip as 60 to set the distance of the axis label. Saving the code and run the program. Reopen the workbook. You can see the axis label only shows every 60 days. Next, create a trading volume chart under the historical close price chart. Duplicate the code of the created historical close price chart as we just written. Change the chart position to cell A24. Then change the chart value range reference and the chart horizontal category range reference. Make the chart type as area chart. Change the title of the chart to Trading Volume Chart. Run the program again and reopen the workbook in Excel. The Trading Volume Chart has been created. Okay, that's it for this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please comment below. And welcome to subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified anytime we release new content. Thanks for your watching and thanks for you choosing Xlize.